All right, so in this video, I kind of want to go over this template that I stole from the Uncomplication YouTube channel. I'll leave a link for that one. But I modified a few things in here, so it's basically the same, but I've rearranged a few things. Anyway, I'll want to what I call tokenomics, basically about the token, about the project for the most part, and then how its veracity. I'll want to go through the white paper a little bit and its social and its market kind of, and then some on-chain metrics. We'll start with some what kind of wallets, how many wallets, how secure it is, and then go on to maybe its potential value on the right here. So kind of in a counterclockwise motion around this little mind map that I stole from Uncomplication. Anyway, so the reason I got interested in this project in the first place was that it had a pretty good purpose. What project are we doing here? So we want to do the charged particles, which is pretty cool. It allows you to embed or charge NFTs with yield bearing and other kinds of functionality. So you could buy an NFT that has yield bearing potential to it, and time release kinds of other NFTs. You can put almost anything you want into them. And it's Ethereum based. So anyway, we'll take a look at that. So the first place I want to go when I want to answer some of these questions, such as its distribution thing. Well, most of the stuff we start with CoinGecko, right? So I do a search for IONX or charged particles, and I look at its rank. That's one of the things you look at. Almost never want to look at the price right away because that doesn't tell you hardly anything. The rank tells you where it is in the great scheme of the cryptoverse, but that also kind of gives you an idea of what the market cap is. So we're looking at 1 million. So that's kind of nice that almost 2,000 projects have over $1 million of market cap. So that's pretty cool. Okay. Anyway, so we have a market cap here. We also want to look at the project itself. So maybe I want to jump into its website real quick before I look at some of the price kinds of actions on it. So let's go to its website. CoinGecko is great about allow you to look at the explorers, which is the on-chain stuff, right, pulled off of the blockchain itself, and its website. So the website is, it's like going to it's going to say all the great things about itself, right? So you don't want to just trust what you see here so much, but the documentation you can at least look at what the plan is, right, and what it is, right? So what is charged particles? And just kind of like we said, you can put NFTs, yield-bearing tokens can be added to them, so you can put time locks on them, you charge them, and you can deposit interest-bearing or yield-bearing tokens inside of them. So it's instantly swapped to like an Aave type of token. So if I put in, like, I think they use the example of a die, and so it goes in as an Aave die, kind of a wrapped die for interest-bearing or yield-bearing effects. And you can program its discharge. Basically, you can configure how it gets discharged. Okay, and you can have it burned at some time also, or you can just have the owner of the NFT that buys it continue to earn interest or something. So you can make them pretty valuable if you want. I think that's interesting. So they're available on OpenSea and Rarible, looks like. Okay, so that's the overall idea behind it, and that's what got me interested in this project, is that it had this nice, innovative idea, and I didn't have a lot of exposure in my portfolio to NFT types of projects, so this was kind of an interest to me. All right, let's look at its protocol overview. Nice introduction. Basically, just what we said. I probably skipped over a lot of that, but basically, let's look at how it works. And the reason you want to look at that is I'm trying to keep in my mind, like, how easy would this be for a competitor or somebody else to do it too? Like, how different are they? I mean, is it worth, is it just another NFT, or does it have something to it? And so obviously it doesn't have any. Well, other NFT types of projects don't have this capability yet, so that's nice so far. So they should grab some market share as fast as they can, it seems to me. But anyway, so you can do any ERC token into your NFT. An ERC token is an Ethereum token, so there's 3 kinds, I guess, right? So there's ERC20, 721, and 1155 tokens. The last 2 are NFT types of tokens, or fungible. Actually, the 1155 is either fungible or non-fungible, right? So anyway, so yeah, I'm just reading the highlights here. It's pretty interesting. Programmable NFTs, basically, is what we're looking at. So it's got its current status here. So right now, it's only supporting NFTs that are using the charged particle minting station. We're looking, okay, so they want to, so this is a great thing to read here for the project. We want to know that they're planning on expanding to other platforms, so that helps them with their market share, for one, and for keeping their barrier to entry high, I guess. So okay, so again, any ERC token, so fungible, non-fungible, basically. Fungibles are currencies, for that matter, right? So one token is as valuable as the next. That's not the case with non-fungible tokens, right? A piece of artwork is not at the same value as every other piece of artwork, and so forth. Okay. So right now, Aave tokens, it looks like, are the only available, but in the future, so they have some plans. That's nice. Look at its roadmap later. Okay, so how do they plan on staying in business, right? Or how do they plan on having, I mean, it's decentralized from what I understand, so it's not them staying in business, but they want to continue working on it, and it needs to be valuable to them as well. So we'll look at the token metrics of it as well. But this is I don't know how common this is, but basically they raised their own funds, and they produced as I read throughout this, they did an IDO on the Polka Starter initial offering. So that's nice. So it develops. Let's see. Initially, it generates revenue with a few primary methods. So we can read through that, and so it has a definite plan for that. I don't think I need to do that right now, but we could criticize or critically look at how they're going to, like, how, if I wanted to buy some IONX tokens, I might want to be interested in how they're going to keep its value, right? And so I'm getting a little ahead of myself by looking at that, but we'll look at it later. Okay, so use cases, we kind of, so that might be interesting. That'll give you an idea of, so here's a list of things that might happen that you potentially could do with them: puzzle boxes, loot boxes, bundles, and so it's pretty exciting, I think, I guess. So the how-to part of it is kind of interesting as well. So yeah, let's look at minting an NFT. And it has some, okay, so very nice. I think the documentation looks pretty decent. So we can enter the dApp. Let's just take a quick look at the dApp and see what we get. You can start your wallet with it. Let's just skip that and start minting, right? So we can upload a file, we can name it, describe it, and we can enable creator royalties. So here's where we can pay yourself back a certain amount or whatever, and that allows you to kind of program how it's going to act. So pretty neat. Let's click. Governance. So getting a little ahead of myself as well. So this is the purpose of the token itself, right? So having tokens gives you some governance rights over the token, so you can kind of control your own destiny, kind of thing. So that's pretty common, I guess. So so you can vote and participate in the governance process, I guess. So you can look at why use charged particles again. Some more of its use cases and things, which I think is pretty good. The token generation, this is kind of important because you want to be able to know how the tokens are going to be distributed, and that affects its value over time, right? And so we know from what it says, total token supply of 100 million will be generated, and the supply will be broken down by, well, this pie chart. So half to the community, 1% went to the IDO, so 1 million tokens that way, and then the rest of them are to the community and team, foundation, and investors. Okay, so what? Okay, so these, I understand that the investors need to get some, and the team needs to live, and so forth, right? But I'm not sure. Well, okay. So after complete distribution of all 100 million tokens, an inflation rate of 2% will start after 2 years, distributed directly to the foundation. So where's that coming from, right? So it looks like where's that coming from? So the foundation is going to get 2% embedded into the DAO, looks like. So it's a decentralized autonomous organization, basically. So it's not going to any people necessarily, and that is for not governance purposes so much, but just operating, right? So that's how I understand it. So I may be misunderstanding that, but that's how it seems. Okay, so so 50% to the community, and then it breaks that down even further. But what you do want to see is a nice even distribution of the tokens, and generally speaking, that's going to keep a pretty steady value of the token price of the token to that's good for its price, basically, right? So you could look further into how, for staking, obviously this is on the Ethereum, so staking is a good portion of the purpose of the token, so generating more value there. Okay, let's look at the team and the roadmap. So those are the interesting parts of it too. So the leadership, we have the co-founders, founder and co-founder, and what are they? It looks like this, and we can go to his looks like his LinkedIn page, and you can look at his past, and it looks like it's a pretty normal and pretty robust experience. So he has some good solidity and, well, just Ethereum-based kinds of development, right? And so what's nice, I think, also is the co-founder is a finance professional, right? So Ben here also has a LinkedIn page. I'm just looking at the link. I don't have to go to it. I already have. So he's a certified, was that accountant? So anyway, yeah, he knows the business end of it. So we have development and business. So that's good. And then also in the team, it looks like we have the first 4 are developers, and the last 4 are the business, marketing, managing, media, social media kind of thing. So I would expect that they would have a robust kind of marketing strategies and things like that. So looks like that team and social media is probably a big one to do, and we can look at their credentials as well as back to Gecko. You look at its like Twitter page or Reddit page or Discord or whatever. Twitter's pretty easy. Look at its followers, 27,000 followers. It's following some other things. That's nice. Some tweets. Look at the relevance and frequency of such. And you can also look at their announcements to their development and things. So yeah. So it's congratulating these guys. It's live on 0x Polygon. This means you can mint 1,000 NFTs at half a cent or 5 cents. Nice. So there's things to be excited about. Apparently, they have an accelerator program. So it looks like they have a pretty robust-ish Twitter presence and social media presence. I would look at the other ones as well. I guess before passing judgment on that, I guess. Okay, let's jump back to here. So looks like the distribution looks pretty good. It's an IDO, so it's sort of like an ICO, direct offering, right? We already know it's proof of stake because it's Ethereum, right? That also tells you something down here. As far as security goes, it's on the Ethereum network, so secure, right? So we don't have to worry about that. And social activity, that looks like that's probably a check for Twitter. And I already looked at the GitHub. Also, yeah, let's actually look at that. So right here, source code, right? So I'm not a developer, so I probably don't understand most of this, but it looks like it has some projects. Past year of activity looks sort of peaked, I don't know, but consistent. I don't know. Looks like it was updated 12 days ago, so I don't know. It's pretty flat most of the time. Looks like I'm not sure what this is, but it was updated 12 days ago also. Seems like not super impressive. Not that their code has to be updated all the time, but 12 days ago is, I guess, okay. I can't judge that. Once it seems like their front end would be being developed almost continuously, but I don't really know. So as far as I know, they have a decent-ish GitHub. It's a developed and well working. It doesn't look like a rug pull anyway. That's not all I can gather out of that. Okay, so back to here. So yeah, I give that a check. It's probably as good as it gets, although I don't know how effective that is. I don't know how many of you have heard of IONX. I just kind of ran across it and it sounded interesting. So hopefully it will pick up. Will have its time. Not all coins do that immediately anyway. I think the team gets a check. I think the roadmap. Did we look at the roadmap? Let's see. So back to, I wanted to look at the roadmap. Okay, project started in the first quarter of 2020. When did it? So they developed, and it looks like they were hitting most of their timelines up until improvements in the UI and gas usage. Their audit doesn't look like that's been done, so that's a slight bit of concern, perhaps. For not that an audit prevents a rug pull or anything, but looking for security issues and things, perhaps. Okay. So some of the stuff's already live. Doesn't look like they have their layer 2 ready, but looks like they've added those features to their app. Okay, so they have a future roadmap, third-party integrations to other art NFT platforms, games, financial products. So that's where they're focused on. I think that's good. It looks like they hit their targets pretty well, although we're past second quarter of 21, right? So maybe they're falling behind a little bit. I don't know. And the price kind of looks like maybe their development and price kind of go hand in hand. So if there's not much development, it looks like there's a couple of news announcements that pump it and then it drops or whatever. So sort of to me looks like that's what's happening here. Okay. So perhaps the roadmap gets a check minus. Some kindergarten grades, right? That would be a C. C minus. Okay, the white paper, that's pretty much what we've been looking at for the most part, although the white paper is more formal right up of it instead of click links and things, I suppose. Okay, the next thing to look at is the competition, right? So NFTs is getting to be somewhat of a crowded field, so let's look at one of the things you can do is under these tags, if I just go to NFTs, or I just write in CoinGecko, you can categorize tokens, right? So right here, NFT is one of them, DeFi is another. So let's just look at coins, NFT coins, and it looks like top NFT coins by market cap. So that's nice. Looks like, and this is its market, right? So IONX has $15 billion of market cap to for grabs, right? So a portion of that, right now their market cap, what was it, at 1 million? So they have a 10,000 times pool to draw from. So a percentage of that is decent. So that speaks to its potential growth, right? So nice. Theta being one of the biggest, in Chili's and Axie. I mean, most of these we've heard of probably, and they're pretty big. So it has a lot of, an Audius, that's a great one. Origin, that's the only one I own of all this. So it'd be, and Theta, a little bit. So it'd be nice to have maybe a low capper to, because I missed all these. They're already kind of big and kind of set, although there's room for them to grow as well, I think. So anyway, that tells me a little bit about its competition, right? So what's to keep these guys that have more resources now from entering, to breaking into what they're doing, right? Or partnering with them, perhaps. And it looks like that's what they're thinking. From looking at their roadmap, they're looking at entering other platforms, and so that's pretty critical, I would think. So anyway, so it's competition. I guess that's its biggest risk, is not getting into those markets and other larger players, or even some of the others down the road here, or down the list, getting in on it as well. So they probably need to keep developing and marketing. Okay, so back here. So yeah, it's competition and it's risks. Those are kind of together. It's pretty full. So they got their work cut out for them. I don't know what else to put there for that. So let's look at some on-chain stuff regarding. Yeah, I think we already talked about liquidity. That wasn't very good, but I'm not sure if I mentioned that. So let's go to here. Liquidity, right? That's just how much it's trading, right? So right now it's at 19,000. It's trading for 24 hours. And if you look at it in relation to its market cap, that kind of gives you like what, where it is in that. And you want to get around 10 to 20%. Even if any more than that, then it's maybe suspicious, I guess. So, or being dumped or whatever. So this is a little low. So tells me maybe not so much interest. So, okay. Yeah, so yeah, that might be a concern there. Circulating in total, that's also sort of a concern, but not as much when we looked at its distribution, right? So its distribution is well controlled. So even though we only have, what, 4 million out of 100 million, so what is that, 0.04, so that's 4%, yeah, right, of its circulating total. It's being distributed pretty controlled, so maybe that's not as big of a concern. But that does affect price if it's too fast or something. So it didn't look like any spikes in that, and it was well controlled with vesting. There were some, the team had to vest a bit for 24 months and things like that, and so that's not over. So there may be some good opportunity, but maybe after that well, I don't know. Okay. All right, so on chain, so we already said that it was pretty secure, although with the lack of audit, maybe hold judgment on that. Let's look at active wallets, and this is where do we look at this, like transactions and active wallets and stuff. So one place to look would be it's under the explorers, right? So we have this Etherscan, which is probably the most common Ethereum-based token kind of explorer, and it looks on the blockchain, and it can look at every transaction ever. But we can also look at how many wallets, right? So we have 818 holders, different accounts or addresses, different addresses. So you can call those wallets, I guess. And how many transfers in the past 24 hours, I guess. So that seems kind of low. I mean, if you look at like beta, and look at its Explorer data token. You can see how many accounts on-chain wallets. Yeah, 2.4-ish million, as opposed to 818. So they have their work cut out for them, right? Okay. So there we have a pretty low number of transactions in wallets. So that's a bit of a concern. Although it is new, it's pretty new. So it came out in March. If I looked at that roadmap right. Okay, so we'll give that kind of a pass and a wait, kind of see how it goes, kind of thing. Although you want to jump in on it, you want to look at some other things, right? So a couple things, and these aren't as good for new projects, but I'll just go through them anyway. So it's network. This is like what do you call it in stocks? A PE ratio, price to earnings. So you look at its market cap basically and it doesn't have earnings, right? So there is a kind of what we referred to before. Okay, it's trading volume, right? That's sort of like an earning. So it's market cap to its earnings. That would be like price to earnings, right? So that's its basically its NBT value. It's, what is that, notional, well, I can't remember what the NBT meant, network value, sorry, to transaction ratio, right? So its network value is its market cap, and its transaction ratio is its 24-hour volume, right? So I do have a spreadsheet to show to get to the next one here. So yeah, we basically yeah, that I'm getting kind of confused with my PE ratio. That's for stocks, right? So no earnings here, but we can use transaction, and so that's why you want that to be the lowest number as you can without getting too low. So it's transactions times the number of transactions, which is like 7,800 from that Etherscan. Yeah, we got 7,821, and times its average price over that time, basically. and that'll get you basically this number, right? It's over 24 hours anyway. So if you wanted to go further, you could download this whole list, right? So you can do the whole shebang with this CSV, and I did that and put it into a spreadsheet. And so I can look at from when it first started, right? So here's the date. Well, that was, yeah, 1st of July. So maybe this was just for the month. Yeah, it may have been, but that's good. Can I set that to something else? No, that's all the transactions. So that's okay. I think I have enough data points here anyway to take a look at to calculate its MVRV score, right? So in these terms, that's its market value to realized value ratio, and all that is its market cap minus its realized market cap, basically. And then so what is that, right? That's the basic fully diluted valuation, which would be realized. Well, not really. Its realized market cap would be the price of the coin when it was traded, and how many coins it was traded. So you take that price times when it was traded. So that's slightly different. And you do need to use a spreadsheet to get that. So I think I calculated that all right with this, and that's basically its market cap minus that average price. So I averaged it, basically. So I took all the transactions, averaged their price to it, and multiplied them up, and subtracted it from its market cap, and I divided it by the standard deviation, which is easy to do in Excel, of the project, of all the excuse me, of the individual market cap days. So the standard deviation, basically that strips out the outliers, I guess. So big peaks and valleys, so that kind of averages those out, and that gives you kind of like what's called a Z-score for that value. And the higher the Z-score, the further it is away from the average, so that's more volatile, I guess. Or actually, that would be overvalued, right? And so this kind of gives you a realized value kind of thing. And so right now, a negative value, that's pretty low. So it has a undervalued notion to it. But again, it's pretty new, so take that with a grain of salt, right? But anyway, for bigger coins, at least I have that spreadsheet that I could maybe play with on that. So yeah, on here, grain of salt, right? And then its rank among the others, yeah, what was it, 1100 and something, 73rd or something in market, in rank. So that's actually a good thing, right? It has, you know, something that low, you would be very concerned whether it's a rug pull or not. But looking through its white paper and the team and its use case, you know, it's not just here for, you know, pulling a rug. And even though the price kind of looks like it is, so that's why you look into that, right? So anyway, where is its value? That's kind of where the use, the utility, and the purpose come in. And its market cap, we looked at CoinGecko of all the NFTs and stuff, and it has this innovation and its roadmap to expand. So those are all positive things. And right now, it's definitely undervalued if it can take off, right? So all that considered, you know, should I buy it, right? So in my opinion, it's on the steady decline. I mean, this is where now I get to look at the price, I guess, and I look at what it's done maybe over its max. You know, it's taken a dip or whatever, but yeah, it's looking like it's on a downtrend, and maybe it's, you know, it's still on a downtrend. I don't see it pulling up out of that. Really, it dropped right after it got initialized, right, or distributed. So it's something to look at because I still like the idea, and I think the team is, you know, like they are just ready to pop, I think. But maybe some events have to happen first, like, get onto some other exchanges and things like that. So I think it's worth following them on Twitter and keeping abreast of what's going on with them. So anyway, that's I think here's a let's I have a summary of all of this. Now, where is it? Here we go. In my mind map, I have it finalized. Sort of look at the project and what I've determined from it. So summary time, right? So again, the purpose of the token is governance. Its distribution, I kind of noticed out, I was going to change that to IDO. Very much. Okay, market cap, it's proof of stake as far as mechanism. Didn't really talk about that because it was Ethereum, so I kind of flew over that. Circulating total 4 over 100 million, so that speaks to its distribution, right? How it's being distributed. That's nice. Its liquidity, that was from a couple days ago, so it's not the same as today. I added some links to those pages so I could get back to them. Anyway, the team, the roadmap, it looks all, I wrote down some of its competitors, maybe watching that and watching the space. That would be how I would probably get in a little heavier into NFT kinds of projects. So those risks. So, oh yeah, I also looked on Etherscan. Close that real. It did look like the holders. One wallet, yeah, I had 92%, still does, of the value. So that's a concern. So not out of the rug pull forest yet. Although, the team and everything looks like it's probably good, but that's a concern as well. So overall, I think it's probably worth holding off, watching it, and see how it goes. So that's my that's where I would be on it after looking at it all. So hopefully that's helpful. This can be done with almost any project, I guess. And so please let me know what you think. If you have another project you want to take a look at, maybe discuss. So, all right, thanks.